It's cooking with Cuisinart. Great recipes from master chefs. Now, one of America's greatest chefs, Hubert Keller from Fleur de Lis in San Francisco and Las Vegas, the Burger Bar in Las Vegas and St. Louis, and Sleek Steakhouse in St. Louis. And now, today's recipe.
Well, imagine coming home after a long day of work and you enter the house and you have a beautiful aroma of some slow braised short ribs going. And let me tell you something, you do not need a private chef for that. All you need is one of those slow cookers right over here, and they will do a perfect job on that. But first, let me show you how to get there. Over here, I have some short ribs still on the bone, and what I will do now, I'm just going to season them with salt and pepper, and you can be pretty generous on the salt and pepper because we're putting everything together and cooking everything together with some vegetables. So just season them with salt and pepper on both sides, then we flip them over. And of course, the short ribs cooking on the bone are so much better than actually having bone before, so you make sure that when it comes to your butcher, you want the short ribs on the bone. Okay, so I season them with salt and pepper on the other side. Okay, and now, after that, I will flour those short ribs. Now, in order to flour them, I just have some flour in a bag, and what I will do, I will actually put the short ribs into the bag. It's a little bit easier and definitely less messy, right, than actually having to put them on a bowl or having flour all over the kitchen. So want to make sure you're taking off all excess of flour. There we go. So you see how nice and easy it is and really effortless, and again, the whole place stays pretty clean. Okay, we put another 2 in there. We do the same thing. Always make sure the excess of flour is eliminated. Now goes the last one. Over here, I have one of those sauté pans already, which really work wonders. They're really already heated up at the 450 degrees. I will put a little bit of olive oil in there. And there's enough fat actually on the short ribs that actually the fat will be released, and it's going to be very nice and easily to be browned. So now you see the oil actually smoking. I'm just going to lower very gently the short ribs into the pan. And I will give those short ribs a nice golden brown color on both sides. And the reason actually I'm searing off the short ribs is actually to give extra flavors to the short ribs, and in the same time also I'm going to be browning the sauce off. So we're going to get those going. And the time they're browning on one side, let me get the vegetables going for the short ribs. Over here, I have 2 onions. So I will take the 2 onions and actually we cut them in quarters and then transfer them into the food processor. So we cut them in 4 here, the other half in 4. Same thing with that. So let me transfer those into the food processor. And then just couple on and offs, and our onions are ready. And just very quickly, and we are ready. So we have our onions ready here. Let me see how my short ribs are doing over there. So let me turn those around. And you see they have a nice, beautiful golden color already. They're picking up. We're searing those short ribs again, extra flavor, and also to brown the sauce later on when we'll be braising those short ribs. And now we're going to wait to the second side to brown. So now, as you can see, they are beautifully browned, and then all that crispy part of the short ribs and all that color will really give a wonderful flavor to the stew we're going to be doing here. So now I'm going to take off the short ribs, just transfer them on my sheet pan that I had earlier. Okay, so you see we have a little excess fat in there, which will be just perfect to actually sear my onions in there. So over here now, I have my chopped onions. So let me lower those into the pan. And of course, that looks like a lot of onions, but when everything simmers together for about 6 hours, everything just melts away, and really it will be a wonderful braising dish that you're ending up with. So you really want to make sure that the onions are searing nicely so that they stay nice and translucent. I just want to make sure the one at the edge, they're really going to come in so they're not burning. Okay, so now I will just lower the heat a little bit and I just get those onions going. In the meantime, let me prep the vegetables. I have one turnip. I'm just going to cut the ends off. Get rid of that. And then now, same thing like earlier. I'm just going to cut the turnips into thick dices here, and we'll chop it up in a food processor. That's about it. So now the next one are the carrots. I'm just going to cut those carrots into kind of little sticks, like 1 inch and 1/4 long, just like that. And then I will just split those in half to kind of give an idea of like what we call a bâtonnet. So we have that. And now the potatoes. So let me move those over here. I have some nice little red bee potatoes. And what I'm doing with those potatoes, I just will cut them in half. So that's about it. If some of them are a little bit big, you might want to cut them up to 3 pieces. Now I will transfer all those vegetables into my casserole over there with the onions. I have my onions here, nice and seared. So now the potatoes are coming in here. And then let's put the turnips in here also. Okay, and once I have that, I'm just going to stir all those vegetables around in a sauté pan. Okay, so that's going really well here. So now let's grab the short ribs. And over here I have some horseradish that I'm applying now to the short ribs. So a little bit of horseradish all around the short ribs, and that's definitely will give the short ribs a wonderful flavor. Okay. So I'm just finishing here brushing the last short rib. Now I'm transferring the short ribs into the slow cooker. So over here, let me put the right here. So the idea is really to arrange the ribs right on the bottom of the slow cooker. And then after, I will top the meats with the vegetables. Okay. And everything, all the juices, everything in that pan, everything goes in the pot. Just like that. Okay, so now let me make that nice and even. So now that I have my vegetables in there, the last step, I'm adding some beef broth to it. Here we go. Just enough that the beef broth comes like 2/3 up the whole little pot, right there. So once I have that, now I'm covering up, and I set the slow cooker. In order to set it, it's very easy. Turn it on. We put them on low, and setting the timer, and the timer is 6 hours. So now it will be simmering very slowly, and after the 6 hours, it goes to the mode actually on holding the stew warm. And then over here, I have actually one stew which is ready, cooked for 6 hours, very slowly. You know, remove the lid, and then you can see how nice and juicy, and basically the bones are falling off the meat. So we're gonna start planing that. So you can see how the bones actually are still on there, so that's the best part, and you just can basically pull off the bone, and you can see how tender it is. The bone actually comes off, and that's a sign that the short ribs are perfectly cooked. So it's like so easy really when you really think about, and like I said, you don't have to touch it, you don't have to stir it. You just come home and enjoy those ribs. Okay, I'm gonna take some of those vegetables and be putting all over. That's the best part too. Okay, so a little bit of more juice, and you see how wonderful and nice and hot the ribs are. So I'm just gonna top it with a little bit of parsley on the last moment. Just a last little touch. And I have some rosemary ready here. And then you can see in basically coming home in no time. Dinner is ready, and here you have it. I guess you don't need that private chef at home. The slow cooker did all the job for you and did it beautifully. And remember, it even keeps it on the warming mode after the 6 hours. Voila, the most succulent short ribs you ever have tasted.